You have just interviewed this team leader talking to you about after Bowe Bergdahl left, listen, I should say, was no longer at his post. What did he say to folks in this village?
Well, Evan Buetow, the team leader with whom I spoke, and the interview will be airing at the top of the hour, talked about he was actually at the observation post with Bowe Bergdahl, knew Bowe Bergdahl, was surprised when Bergdahl was not there the next day, was looking for him. Two Afghan children, said that they had seen an American soldier crawling through the reeds earlier that day and pointed in the direction of a village. And then he also said that in the ensuing couple days, he heard an interpreter pick up over the chatter that is listened to, the walkie-talkies that the Taliban and insurgents speak to each other over, information that there was an American soldier who had come to a village known for a lot of Taliban activity, seeking to talk to the Taliban. So that's the team leader, Evan Buetow, who spoke with me earlier today. Again, we've reached out to the Pentagon for more information, and we keep getting back this information from the Pentagon, from the White House. The principle is leave no man behind, and it doesn't come with caveats, and that's certainly a position that I think a lot of us respect, but there are other questions about Bergdahl's disappearance that I think should be answered.
Let's just play. We've turned on the sound, Jake. This is some of the sound with this man you've just spoken with. Take a listen.
We were going to certain villages based on intelligence that we received. Whether we were there to actively search for Bergdahl or whether we were there just to talk to the locals to see if they knew anything and do a presence patrol. I believe the fact of the matter is, when those soldiers were killed, they would not have been where they were at if Bergdahl had not have left. Bergdahl leaving changed the mission.
That sound is, yeah, that sound is when I asked Evan about the 6 soldiers who died in the subsequent 90 days in Paktika province, members of the 501st, I think, to a man. And the question has been raised, a lot of these soldiers who are upset about Bergdahl receiving a hero's welcome. I have not heard, by the way, I have not heard one of them say anything political about this, anything about President Obama, anything about whether or not Bergdahl's freedom should have been pursued. I haven't heard one of them say anything like that. But they have said that they don't want Bergdahl to be treated like a hero. And one of the reasons that so many are so resentful is because 6 U.S. soldiers were killed in the following months. As you and I have discussed, Brooke, the mission in Paktika province changed with the disappearance of Bergdahl, and finding him became a real focus. So I said, can we actually point to each one of these deaths by RPG, by IED,
as
by enemy
related
fire,
to the search,
and say it was because of the search? And that was his response, that the mission changed. So whether they were actively searching or just going to a village to get information about where Bergdahl was, the men were there because of Bergdahl.